Tuesday edition of PFT Live. We continue to talk Bengals issues. This is something that popped up yesterday. The official game book that is generated after every NFL contest has at the very end a collection of snaps, playing time percentage, and there was something jarring in there as it relates to Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was on the field for 23 plays on Sunday in the game against the Chiefs. Samaje Perine was on the field for 43 plays. This was just 1 week after Joe Mixon had 20 carries for 105 rushing yards against the Buffalo Bills. It was stunning. It was jarring. There wasn't a whole lot of running in the game plan, and maybe the game plan was to pass. But when you look at Mixon's production and involvement in the last game of the season, and you consider, Myles, that Joe Mixon has a $9.4 million non-guaranteed salary for 2022, and when you consider all the players coming up for contracts in Cincinnati, key players beyond Mixon. Mixon's a key player. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase becomes eligible after the 2023 season, and every cap dollar you save this year is a cap dollar you could use on Jamar Chase next year. It's hard not to wonder whether or not there's something deeper going on. And at a minimum, are they going to squeeze Joe Mixon to take less? At worst, could it be that Joe Mixon's time in Cincinnati is over? It's a shame if it happens. He's not even 27 yet, but that's what happens with running backs.
Yes, it is. And it's about team construction, right? I mean, how do you make sure that you're maximizing the most out of every dollar you can out of the cap when, frankly, Joe Burrow is probably going to break the bank very soon, right? Jamar Chase, he's going to break the bank.
Bake the bank, baby. Let's bake the bank. I like that better.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm sitting in Sim's chair today, aren't I? Yeah.
Maybe Sims is here today.
Yeah. T. Higgins, also another guy that's going to get paid. So this is something that you have to think about. But also, I think that it's kind of two separate issues, because you can look at this and think it might have been game plan specific, because they kind of knew last week that they could out physical the Bills, right? They pulverized them up front. I think that they knew, especially with three backup OLs, that they weren't going to be able to do the same thing to the Chiefs, who have a D-line that's led by Frank Clark, who's had an incredible monster year this year. And we saw that he wrecked the game for the Cincinnati Bengals with what he was able to do along that defensive line. So I think that that's part of it, especially because you go back a couple weeks and that playoff game that Cincinnati played against the Baltimore Ravens, Samaje Perine had the majority of snaps running back in that game too. So I think part of the difficulty with running the ball is that when you know you can't really do it, you've got to put somebody else back in there. And that's what they did with Samaje Perine a couple weeks ago, and that's what they did on Sunday night against the Kansas City Chiefs.
It just bears watching, because if you're going to be tying up a large percentage of the cap in Joe Burrow, and more on that in a second, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, you've got other key players who command a significant percentage of the cap, and we know what the running back position is. The running back position entails far greater supply than demand. And you can find a running back in every round of the draft. You can find a great running back undrafted. Every major college program generates every year at least one guy who could come to the NFL. And if you block for him, if you trust him to hold on to the football, and if you can trust him to not get the quarterback blown up in blitz pickup, he's ready to go. And sometimes you got to go a couple of years in special teams and you prove yourself that way, and then boom, off you go. But younger, cheaper, healthier, that's the key, and that's what's working against every running back as he gets toward 27, 28, 29, 30. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.